Dujane Bland. And today we're going to discuss a few things that are going on around the league, a couple firings, a player that's going to be out and suspended. And we're going to take a look at the AFC and NFC playoffs and talk about the matchups and talk about in the NFC who can get in, how they can get in, et cetera, et cetera. If you want to get at us on this show and contribute or contribute a topic to this show, you know how to get at me at Twitter, at NotBland21 on Twitter. You can get at the show at straightshootingst@gmail.com. That's another way. You can also get at me on Facebook, Dujane Bland on Facebook, and at Straight Shooting Sports Talk. If you want to just hit up the show, Facebook's page, it's Straight Shooting ST. Straight Shooting ST on Facebook. All right. Well, let's get around to a few things that are popping.
The NFL.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Some hot topics going on around the NFL. And first and foremost, which is surprising, it's for a team that really is going to need their running back, and going to need their running back to perform well if they want to have an opportunity to make the playoffs, and that's Doug Martin. Doug Martin was suspended today 4 games for a violation of the drug policy. They're saying for Adderall mainly. There are also some other personal issues that Doug Martin was going to be taking and stepping aside for. So he will not be available for the final game that the Buccaneers have this Sunday. And they have to win that game to have an opportunity to get in. They will be playing the Carolina Panthers, who may or may not be mailing it in, but they're sure enough want to play spoiler to keep their division foe out of the playoffs. So that's big news there. With Doug being out. And also this week, the Jags interviewed Tom Coughlin for a potential position there. I think that's a good hire. I don't know if Tom will be interested in coaching the Jacksonville Jaguars, but he is definitely a guy who I would consider for that job. Has a lot of talent there. The cupboard is not empty. He can establish a level of discipline and a structure and turn that ball club around. Very quality coach there to look at. Then we also have the Ryan boys, Rex and Rob, being toasted, canned, butt kicked, thrown out on the front porch of the Buffalo Bills home. They were let go yesterday. I don't know if Rob Ryan gets another job, just because over the years with the Dallas defense, with the Saints defense, it starts out great, and then in the second year it seems to all fall apart for whatever those reasons are. I think it's just the fact that in the first year people are like, what the heck just hit us? And after some review on the next year and looking at previous year's tapes, they've come to get a good handle on the Rob Ryan defense and have the tendency to really take advantage of some things, and he just doesn't evolve that defense. Rex Ryan, I'm not really sure that he should get another coaching job as a head coach. But I definitely think that he should be looked at and considered for the offensive or defensive coordinator job. And there's going to be several openings around the league. And I first and foremost, I saw a lot of Redskins fans asking questions to other Redskins fans, or part of a lot of different forums as we do cover the NFL. And the question was, should the Washington Redskins go after a Rex Ryan? And I think there's going to be I think Greg Williams is probably going to be available. And I know Baltimore Ravens fans would love to have him back in Baltimore. Um, was able to listen to the Game Time show. A good friend of mine there, uh, Jackie Ray. If you're not familiar, get yourself J Ray the Fanatic. Get yourself familiar with that. J Ray the Fanatic on everything. Uh, comes on Rebel TV. But Von Harris, the stat man, he had made a comment about how innovative Rex Ryan's defenses are, and that they would love to have him back in Baltimore. And with that defense and with the talent they have, that would be a great move. And with what Washington is building, that would be a great move. And that brings us to our next question, talking about Joe Barry. Um, Let the truth be told with Joe Barry, there has been a tremendous amount of injury on the defensive side of the ball. You lose D Hall. You've had several players in and out, uh, several of your star players in and out due to injury. But I think the biggest issue with Joe Barry is that he doesn't make adjustments during the game. Really doesn't play to the strengths of what his defense does well. And I think if they did that more, they would be more effective. Staying with what works, not changing it up, and not going away from it until the offense proves that they can beat you by doing that. And I think that's been an issue for Joe Barry. Will he stay around? That will be a question that will remain to be answered. But when you look at statistically what they have done this year, it hasn't looked very well. And if you got a guy like Rex Ryan out there, only concern about a guy like Rex, we know that he can be very innovative and it's a mastermind when it comes to orchestrating defense, calling defense, and coming up with different schemes to get after the quarterback. My question is do you want a coach like that can be possibly volatile, and he has the tendency of putting bulletin board material up for the opposing team? That's my biggest issue with Rex Ryan. Should he go to Washington or would he go to Washington? Who knows? Really have to see how this thing plays out with Joe Barry, but that is an option, and he's a quality option, and something that the Washington Redskins should definitely consider if Joe Barry is not your guy. Well, let us move on to the playoff scenarios and playoffs seedings here. For the AFC, everything is locked up. Week 17 is a matter of pride and keeping guys healthy, not getting hurt here. We have the number one seed, New England Patriots, 13-2. They will have a first round bye, and the Oakland Raiders, 12-3, and they will have a first round bye as well. Very unfortunate for them that Carr goes down last week. It's going to be interesting. You get another quarterback. Can you get the continuity together to sustain and be able to win a couple playoff games? It'll be interesting to see. And then you have your third seed, the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team that I had called about 3 weeks ago that would make this playoffs. I thought they would beat the Ravens as they did in Week 16 to solidify that and win the division there and lock that up. And they did just that. They're getting hot at the right time. The defense isn't playing superb, but they are playing well enough to stop teams when it matters. And Ben Roethlisberger, along with his playmakers, Bell, Brown, making plays when necessary. Also coupled with a couple other guys that step up and have made plays for them. Look at the fourth seed, the Houston Texans. They go from Osweiler to was it Savage? We're gonna see how that works out. It's very difficult to generate cohesiveness when the second string quarterback really doesn't get a lot of time, especially with all the new practice rules. But we're going to see how these two quarterbacks between Savage and not familiar with the Raiders' new starting quarterback. We're going to see how these work out for these teams. And I don't. O'Brien, I thought, made the right call there. And then you have the Chiefs, fifth seed, 11-4, and the Dolphins, uh, 10-5. And when will Tannehill come back? Or do they even bring him back? Matt Moore has made some plays, gotten some other guys involved, woke up Kenny Stills, so to speak. Has had some big plays, some more big plays, more than when Tannehill was in there. So do you stay with a Matt Moore, or do you go back to Tannehill? They will be playing the wild card divisional rounds consist of Dolphins Steelers. The Dolphins will go to the Steelers and Chiefs, Texans, and that's going to be that's going to be interesting there. Interesting matchup, and it's a really surprise. I guess it's surprising and not a surprise that the Broncos fell off. I thought there would be two teams out of the AFC West, or a three-team race there out of the AFC West that would make the wild cards. Two make the wild card, one winning the division. But Miami came out of nowhere, got hot at the right time, and they're heating up. They're hot at the right time, and they can be a team that could go in and upset the Steelers because defensively they're playing a little better, and offensively, like I said, with Matt Moore, they're moving the ball very well. They're running the ball very well. Could be a really, really tight game there between the Dolphins and the Steelers. Now, when we go over to the NFC, we know Dallas Cowboys have it locked up first round bye. That's followed by the Atlanta Falcons. And then you have the Seattle Seahawks at 9-5 and 1. Then we have the Green Bay Packers at 9-6 and 0. The New York Giants, who have secured a spot in the wild card at 10-5, and Detroit bringing up the rear, sixth spot, 9-6. Now there's still two teams alive in the NFC. Unlike the AFC, everyone is eliminated. That is on the outside. Here, the 7th to 8th seed, 7th Washington Redskins are still alive, needing a win on Sunday to have an opportunity to make the playoffs. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, surprisingly, are still alive, but there's a lot that goes into this. And I'm going to break that down for you right here, right now. Now, you look at the Atlanta Falcons can clinch a first-round bye as well. Now, they're going to need to win their game, or they need a tie and a Seattle loss or tie. They need a Seattle loss or Detroit loss or tie, or a Seattle tie and a Detroit loss in order to clinch a first-round bye. Now, Seattle, in order for them, they have an opportunity to clinch a first-round bye as well. If they win and Atlanta loses or ties, they can clinch a first-round bye. Or if they tie and Atlanta loses and Green Bay or Detroit ties, they can get a first-round bye from that. Now, Green Bay just has to win and you're in. They win the division if they beat Detroit, and that's their only scenario. Win, you get in. You don't win, well, then your scenarios get a little bit harder. They would need Washington to lose, or they would need Washington to tie, Tampa Bay to win, and they would win they would clinch that playoff spot due to a strength of victory tiebreaker over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, Green Bay can also clinch at a tie and strength of victory tiebreaker over Tampa Bay if one of the following teams wins or ties, such as Seattle, Houston, Jacksonville, Philadelphia, and of course themselves, Philadelphia, Green Bay. They've already clinched a strength of schedule tiebreaker over Tampa Bay in this particular scenario. So if it came down to some wacky thing, would it have to go an extra mile? That would be the extra mile that would needed to be to decide whether Green Bay would get in or not. Now Detroit is pretty much in a similar scenario. If they win the division title and they're in. If they don't win, and they can also win and get a first round bye if Seattle ties or loses and Atlanta loses. So they not only can win the division, but they also can get a first round bye if Seattle or Atlanta loses. Now Detroit can also clinch a playoff berth even if they tie, or they can clinch it with Washington loss or tie. So it's so many different ways here. It can be one of three teams, and I only see three teams being alive uh, in being able to clinch a playoff berth, and that's Green Bay Packers, Washington Redskins, and the Detroit Lions. Now, Washington just has to take care of business, and if they win, one of Green Bay and Detroit has to lose, so they would be in. Now, they also can get in if they tie and Green Bay loses and Tampa Bay loses or ties. But I don't think it'll get that complicated. It's you get in by winning, and then if Green Bay loses, Detroit loses, whichever one is going to lose in that NFC North battle, they're going to be automatically out if the Washington Redskins win, and the Redskins will automatically be in. Now, if the game does tie and end in a tie, well, that can make things really complicated. Really, really complicated. And I think that means that the Washington Redskins would still be out. But they would have to win, especially if they ended in a tie, or if they lost and there was a tie. All three teams would be 9-6-1. Or wait a minute, I'm confusing myself. If their game was to end in a tie, if the Green Bay Detroit game was to end in a tie and they were to win, all teams would be 9-6-1. They did not beat Detroit, so Detroit would actually get in over them because of the fact that they have the tiebreaker over them. Now, Tampa Bay's is not as simple as everybody thinks. It's not a matter of just winning this game. Of course, they do have to win, but they need the Washington Redskins to tie. They need the Green Bay Packers to lose, and they would virtually clinch over Green Bay due to that strength of victory tiebreaker. But keep in mind, they also, in order to clinch, they need wins by the following teams: the Tennessee Titans, Indianapolis Colts, Dallas Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers. That's how complicated it is for them. And if Washington wins, it's a wrap for them. They are immediately eliminated. Now, who do I see getting into the NFC playoffs? I'm going to tell you right now, I see the Green Bay Packers as hot as they've been. They're going to win the NFC North. Washington Redskins will beat the New York Giants at FedEx Field. Not really sure if all the starters are going to play and if they're going to play fully the whole entire game. That remains to be seen. But with them being at home, they know what's at stake. Washington will get in to that sixth spot, and then your playoffs will set up for wild card rounds. If the Washington Redskins win, they will be playing the Seattle Seahawks, something they really don't want, and I think Redskins fans are sick of. It seems like they always play them. And then the New York Giants will play the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay. And, of course, the Cowboys and Falcons would have first-round byes. So there's only 3 games this weekend that really matter. The New York Giants and Washington Redskins game, I said before, Washington is at home. They understand what's at stake. They win, they get in. They didn't take advantage of it on Monday night. But I see them making a turnaround and understanding what's at stake. And like I said, the New York Giants really don't have a lot to play for. They could be resting players. They could, rest players in the second half. Who knows? But I see the Washington Redskins winning that game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think Carolina upsets them actually in this game. That's an important game as well because we know Tampa Bay has to win in order to get in. And the final game there is the Green Bay and Detroit Lions. I know a lot of people think that Detroit can upset Green Bay at home, and that's possible. I mean, they didn't look that great on Sunday night or Monday night against the Dallas Cowboys, but they were able to go tit for tat for a little bit within the first half. But Green Bay's hot, and their defense is getting better. They get Clay Matthews back. They're clicking on all cylinders. Aaron Rodgers is looking like Aaron Rodgers again. And I just feel like with them on the upswing, you can't bet against Aaron Rodgers. And I feel like Green Bay is going to have the opportunity to make it in to the dance of the playoffs. So it should be a good one. Either way, we're going to have some great matchups coming up, and we'll start as we get closer and closer to these wild card games. We'll get into those things, and we'll start breaking those things down. Again, we thank you so much for listening to our show. It's a pleasure to come to you guys. I know we haven't been regular lately, been sick, battling a cold. I'm still battling it, but I'm able to talk now, so that's great. We got some college football coming up, so we're going to take a look at that as well, maybe in our next show. But again, if you want to hear something talked about on this show, you're more than welcome to hit us up. The outlet's Twitter, NotBland21. You can hit us up at gmail.com, straight shooting ST. That's our email address. And as always, check out the work on sportsjourney.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our show on iTunes. Well, again, we thank you so much. And this has been another edition of Straight Shooting Sports Talk. Talk to you later.